Hello, wonderful listeners. Joanna here for Mindful Counseling, aka JDS Counseling. You can also find me on YouTube at JDS Counseling, where I have recorded webinars with one of my colleagues that primarily focus on mental health and just daily struggles. I figured I would connect with you all today and just talk about the inner critic within me. And how do we challenge the inner voice that we all have, because we do have one, that has a tendency to prevent us from doing certain things and maybe criticize us in some ways. And the inner voice that has a tendency to say, you should not, or why are you doing this? Or that is not necessarily that good. So I would like to primarily focus on how do we challenge that voice and how do we make it louder in a more positive way. So I cannot help it but to think about self-love. And the reason why I bring that up is because I will be doing a recording with one of my great colleagues on how to take care of yourself, how to love yourself, how to accept yourself, because we have a tendency to really focus on others, how to love others, how to take care of others so that they can validate things about us or accept us and love us. So we're all people, we're all human, and this is something that just makes us when we want to take care of others. However, how do we take care and love ourselves? How do we challenge that inner critic within us to say to ourselves that I am going to do something, or I will be doing something? And I know I said should before, and the should is the inner voice in us that has a tendency to prevent us and put us down. However, it can also be a voice that possibly can lift us higher, such as, I should go running today because why not? Or I should rest a little bit because why not? So going back to the inner critic versus the inner and outer self-love. The inner critic in us all the time has a tendency to say, I'm tired, I don't have to do this today, push things off, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, I don't have money, or the big one, I don't have time. Versus, and this is something that I say to myself, this is something that I have a tendency to tell my clients, sometimes friends, family members, is why not do things right now in this present moment? We can say this to our children because at some point, that voice, that inner critic really stems from a very early age, whether it's from parents or those around us. So we have a tendency to get empowered or overpowered by that voice. We just don't know how to really challenge ourselves to think differently. So here I am thinking about how is it that I can lift myself higher, love myself stronger, and use my critical inner voice to do something about it, to strengthen my positive side instead of my negative side. So as I'm sitting here, and I did not have to record in this particular moment because I actually today, for the first time in a while, I have some free time, free moments, and I'm trying to find ways of how to utilize them where at the same time I have the ability to take care of myself, to rest, maybe do something else that I also enjoy, and I do have quite a list. So I figured in this moment I will sit down and I will record. And the reason being because I also know I work well with time, and I know this is not going to take me a very long time to record, and that I can do this, and that I know that I will still have enough time to do whatever it is that I can do later. And then, of course, followed by whatever the responsibilities might be after. So here I am trying to love myself, and the love of myself is enjoying what I do. And however many individuals I reach out to And however many individuals are able to do the same. So I know I'm here speaking on the other side and you're listening with your ears. But in this moment, as you listen to me speak, I would like for you to focus really on what gives you strength, what gives you the ability and the recognition, validation that you are good, that you can truly love yourself, that you don't need to necessarily rely on others to love you or to take care of you. Although it is a need, we have to be mindful that those things are good and they are necessary, and that it is important that we love others, that we love ourselves, and that we can balance that in between. When I say self-love, I'm not talking about primarily to focus on yourself where nobody else matters, because that would go towards a more, almost want to say a narcissistic approach, where a selfish approach where it's just me and not you. We have to learn how to balance those, how to be caring individuals for that others, but also caring individuals for ourselves. So as you listen to this, whether it is as you drive, whether it is as you're sitting down, laying down, in between work hours, and in the morning or at night, what would you say gives you love? Or how would you say you give love to yourself today? How is it that you loved yourself in the past? And how is it that you would like to continue to love yourself in the future? It can be anything from sitting down for a few minutes, from becoming a stronger inner voice, which I consider to be the biggest, I think, way of loving yourself is how can you speak highly of yourself, to acknowledge the good things you do, how brave and courageous and strong you might be in many different ways, or how good of a cook you might be as well. And it's okay to acknowledge the things that you may not necessarily be good in, that you can actually make those things better. From a personal perspective, when I first originally started with this podcast, it was not even a year ago, but it was short of maybe 10 or so months. And as nervous as I was, I took the ability to push myself forward, take a step forward, and just talk. And I do love talking, so I know even though I don't hear as I record this, I know the inner voice in me that can hear. So that's what I started 10 or so months ago, and here I am today. And I do it because I know I enjoy it and I like it. I also, within that time, added the YouTube where I record. And yes, I also edit, which is not necessarily my specialty since I'm a therapist most of the time. But I know I enjoy it. So, to continue forward, where are your thoughts? Can they circulate around some of the things that you think you can do and give yourself? You can acknowledge the love that you give yourself. What makes you happy? And what can you do about it? Oftentimes we go back to the 5 love languages, because we all have a love language that we seek. Most of the time it's difficult to receive it because we're just not talking the right way. Some of those love languages are gifts, things that we like to receive. Words of affirmation, once again, this goes back to what I've been saying, that I feel and believe that that's the most important one. That's the inner voice. The voice that can tell us we don't look good, or the voice that can say we look good, or that we do good things, and that we make mistakes, but we can get up. The love language of touch, how important touch is to us, a hug or a kiss. Service, doing things for others, but at the same time wanting to do things for ourselves. We can be selfish once in a while. Quality time. This is where I am today. The ability to have time, not necessarily with someone, but with myself. This is where I can sit down and record this. This is where I can step away after this and make myself something to eat. Followed by my routine of work and clients and webinars. So quality time focuses on the ability to spend time with someone. That is the love language. But it also deals with how can you allow yourself your own quality time to spend with yourself. What is it that you would like to do for yourself that can make you feel loved? Because you have to take care of yourself as well. We can have others around us or maybe depend on others to take care of us, to love us, or to nurture us. None of those things are bad. They're great. But I always like to say, if someone is not around or if no one is there, how can you get those things? How can you have those needs met? How can you love yourself? Is it the pair of shoes that make you feel good? Is it that difficult, maybe dinner that you've been trying to make and have not had the time for it yet? Is it cleaning that maybe brings you joy and love? I have to be honest with you. I actually enjoy that part. If I am home alone and I have my quality time, sometimes it's the cleaning that makes me feel even better. And that's because who I am, my personality, I like to have things organized and cleaned. So I know what brings me comfort. So today's episode, I hope you're all finding it in some ways helpful, mindful, curious, where you can ask yourself the question of what brings you love, what brings you joy. How can you love yourself today? And how can you continue loving yourself every single day? I know days we may all say that they're long or short and that we have no time, but we do. We do have time. Whether it is taking 5 extra minutes in the shower or 5 extra minutes stretching in bed or 5 extra minutes driving in a car, purposely taking a different route so you can explore different scenery. All of this is love. Love for yourself. And that you are capable of taking care of yourself in so many different ways. You just have to learn to be curious of what love is to you. You are the biggest relationship love expert to yourself. Once again, this is Joanna from Mindful Counseling, aka JDS Counseling. If you have the time, check out my YouTube channel, JDS Counseling. Subscribe, like, comment. Give me some ideas. What is it that you would like to hear? Until then, be well and be safe.